Good morning, Destiny. Hope you're well. Welcome to the channel, Tools of Destiny. We will be talking today about the topic of god rolls. And what exactly is a god roll? Where does it come from? How do we decide? How do you decide what exactly you should keep and what you should shard? What are the best weapons? Not specifically what are the actual best weapons. That's another video. It's probably someone else's video, to be honest. But more which god rolls and why. When you're looking at the tools, why are they marked and what do those marks mean? So we're going to start off with, Mummy, where did god rolls come from? I don't know why I use that voice, but what is a god roll exactly? So I'm going to jump into one of the two things. Get ready for something extremely geeky. This is a list of all the god rolls used by a variety of the tools, and these are from theory crafters. So these god rolls here literally say this item with these perks, that is a god roll. This item with these perks, and it's all in sort of semi-code, and then there's a little bit of text here. This is from Panda Paxi. It's saying that this is for controllers and etc. and so on. This is the raw source, basically. It's what a bunch of clever people have suggested makes sense. They posted it on Reddit, and someone steals it. I mean, uses it. I don't know exactly, but they basically stick it in a list, and then that is pushed into things. And that's probably how you think most of those god rolls come from. But actually, there is another source. If you're looking at things like GG, some of these god rolls, like this popularity, I mean, they've changed the naming recently, it's quite important. This S tier weapon here is actually based on how popular that trait combo is in terms of how many people use it. And obviously those two things can come together. They're really useful and it's worth considering them. But obviously, when we're talking about where do god rolls come from, there are two sources. It's the community's usage, or it's specific theory crafters in the community saying this is what you want. And of course there's a third one in there, and it's the most common answer to any of those questions that you get on all of the Reddit posts, in the Facebook groups, etc., which is, you know, is this a god roll? And the answer is, it depends. Is it a god roll for you? So I'm going to take you through all the tools, what they mean when they say it's a god roll, where that information comes from, and we will be covering those now. So we're going to start off with everybody's favourite, well, not everyone's favourite, but the most common tool, dim, and its thumbs up mechanism. So if we jump into dim here, I've got the query here is : wishlist, and that basically brings up anything that's wishlisted. So that wishlist by default is that big long list, but you can actually add to it. You can have your own custom list, you can base on those lists, and we will be talking later about how you add your own wish lists to it. So I'm going to be using a Sorrow's Verse for this video because I've only got one of them basically. So this is a god roll, allegedly. I mean, it's a Sorrow's Verse, so you know. And you can see here's the notes from Chevy's S15 Super Pog PvE loot list. And the thumbs up basically here says 4 of the combos, so 4 of the perks you can have on this weapon currently that you possess are in that list, and that's it. It's binary. Either they're in the list, they're not. If I didn't have Accurized Round, I wouldn't get like a nearly god roll. It's not a god roll. It's out. Is it a PvE, PvP? Well, you can read the text. It'll tell you. But basically, it's a god roll of some sort. And in fact, if you've got 2 god rolls in a weapon, it will just show you the first one, I believe. So there's a possibility that actually this is also a god roll. It's hard to say for sure. But it's a very basic but very clear. You know, this is a good weapon. If it has got one of these thumbs up, it is a good weapon in someone's opinion, and it's very specific. It's these set of perks. It's not like this perk is good, this perk is good. Like Subsistence, great perk. Kill Clip, great perk. But Kill Clip, and this is where it turns out I get it wrong, triggers on reload. Let's take something that definitely does trigger on reload, but was available against Subsistence. In fact, it doesn't matter. You get the point. You can have 2 perks that are great on their own, but actually counteract each other and don't work great. You will not get that problem if you are just using dim to work out what you want. Another useful thing that I found out recently, if you click on one of these and you're like, oh, this is cool, but what else would be a god roll? I click on Sorrow's Verse and I actually get a list of all of the rolls and where they came from. So there's a nice breakdown of which perks are considered excellent and why, and obviously which ones you have. So, you know, it's a really great tool. It's dim. It does everything, and it links out to all the others, which is a great way of doing things as well. Okay, so that is dim. What is next? Now we're going to talk about light GG, which I think is actually the most confusing of all of the systems. Not necessarily bad, but confusing. So this is the Sorrows verse. Same weapon we were looking at before. This bit is quite clear. This one quite clearly tells you these are the perks that are good. These perks in gold, or yellow, let's be honest, are good for anything. Blue is PvE, and red is PvP. So you're looking for a line of any of these that goes all the way across. All gold means it's great for anything. One or two blues in there means it's best for PvE. All reds, PvP. It's quite clear. But what they've added very recently, which is a really cool feature, is popular trait combos. And popular trait combos is really great to see what people are using. So lots of people are going for Subsistence Rampage. Great choice. Subsistence Frenzy, great choice. But you'll notice there is no Subsistence with multi-kill clip because of the reloading element that I was talking about before. Subsistence and kill clip, or multi-kill clip, not great. Don't work well together. Kill clip's good. Don't get me wrong. You just don't want it with Subsistence. And then it has popularity of individual perks. But the confusing bit that I find is when you get down to your roles. We'll just skip past Masterwork popularity, which is really useful. And it's just that this is based on popularity. People think, oh my gosh, this is an S tier Sorrows verse. Oh, I really want it. All that means is a lot of people use this trait combo. And yes, that is a good indicator. It definitely works in some ways, but when the weapons are new, when they've just been introduced to the loot pool, at that point, people are just keeping in what they've got. They don't know. They're working it out. So you've got a very confused popularity score. Later on, certain perks, people know them. Kill clip's great. Rampage is great. So they're going to get artificially boosted in the community because not everyone cares. They just know, I love kill clip. So you've got to take it with a pinch of salt. An S tier weapon here does not mean it is S tier. 3 of these golds means it probably is S tier. But again, it still takes a bit of your understanding. You need to know that an S tier perk here could counteract an S tier perk here. And one of the things that will help you here is popular trait combos. So like GG, lots of information, lots of useful information, and from different sources. So you can really see the full picture, but it can be a bit confusing. And you've got to remember, Light GG has a load of ways to look at it. You've got the role appraiser. You've got ways to find and search for things. There are a lot of tools inside the Light GG option. You can see what other people are using and why. It is great, but it can be quite confusing. So, number 3, and finally, we are going to take a look at Destiny recipes. Starting again, Destiny recipes. Destiny recipes, specifically I'm going to go via the Vault Cleaner, because that's where a lot of people are deciding what they're going to keep and what they're going to get rid of. And if we go down to that Sorrows verse, you'll see it's 100%. And what it means here is 100%, 100%, 100% means that I can get a full line of PvE perks, a full line of PvP perks, and a full line of everything perks, essentially. It's just great at everything. And that percentage-based score is essentially based on how many of these. So if this wasn't a god roll of any sort, then it would probably drop down to 75, 80%. I can't remember exactly how it works. You know, I'd maybe do an interview with somebody to try and work out exactly how that works. But it gives you a good idea. I mean, a really interesting example is here. So these 2 weapons here, the Forward Path and Scathlock. The Forward Path gets 95% on its polyvalent, or basically dual usage roll, because it's not all the way across. I can make a roll, hit mark, flared, feeding frenzy, multi-kill clip will give me a PvP god roll. The same, but exchanging extended mag for flared mag roll will get me 100% PvE roll. But there isn't a single roll that can be used for anything. Whereas this one, those 4 perks across the board, that is 100% great for everything. It's the classic Subsistence Rampage combo that everyone is looking for. And I'm sure if we went to Light GG and had a look, that would have a high percentage popularity. So this tool is very, very good from a perspective of giving you a clear number. But again, you have to understand how the 2 interact. I would not be surprised if Subsistence and Kill Clip actually still comes out with 100%. Because it's about those interactions, and none of the tools, other than Dim, will give you that clear this specific role. The downside of that, though, is Dim will only give you that specific role. So, I guess the answer you're all kind of looking for now is which is the best tool? How do I do this? What am I going to pick? And I'm afraid the answer is all of them, your favourite, none of them. I'm going to come back to the community answer essentially, and it depends. It depends on what you like. These are all great ways to explore it and understand it. And actually, you can't go far wrong with any one of these tools to take a choice about whether to keep a weapon. But the reality is, if you like, I don't know, bows, I'm a big fan of perpetual motion, to be honest. I actually really like golden tricorn. Like, I like this role of summoner. No one else does, and that's fine. But I like it, so I'm going to keep it. And we'll talk later on about how to add your own god rolls when you find a perk set that you really like. Maybe you go into something like Gunsmith and go, this is what I want. There's a way to get that into the various tools so that you can look for the stuff that everyone else recommends and the stuff that you really like. Hopefully another thing you really like is these videos. And because of that, you're going to do the thing. Do the stuff. It will be really, really helpful. I'm trying to build the channel up, and the more people who, do you know what, I'm just going to, no, I can't bring myself. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I apologize. But you know what you want to do. You know what I want you to do. So do that for me. Brilliant. Thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed the video. Speak to you all soon.